My name's Claire. I'm 29 and travel a lot for work around the Pacific Northwest. I've stayed everywhere. Chain hotels, motels, tiny Airbnbs, and quiet neighborhoods. I don't scare easy. When you're always on the road, you get used to thin walls, random noises, and doors slamming at night. But in Portland, May 2022, something happened that I can't forget. I booked a craftsman-style house just outside downtown. Not the whole place, just a room in a big old house, split for guests. The photos looked cozy. Hardwood floors, bright kitchen, a porch with plants. The listing said one bedroom was locked for storage. Pretty normal. When I arrived, a laminated check-in sheet sat on the counter with the Wi-Fi, house rules, and one reminder: do not open the storage room. That door was at the end of the fall, past my room. Plain knob, small sticker that said storage. Nothing strange. The first night was quiet, almost too normal, like it was trying to make me believe nothing was wrong.
I unpacked, ate some leftover Thai food, and set out clothes for the morning meeting while the Portland rain tapped against the eaves. By midnight, I was drifting off, scrolling on my phone, when a sound snapped me awake. At first, it was so faint, I thought I dreamed it. A slow shuffle, the drag of a foot across wood. I froze, straining to hear, and then came something unmistakable. A short cough, sharp and human, like someone clearing their throat. My stomach dropped. It came from the locked storage room down the hall. I sat up, listening, the silence pressing heavier by the second. I told myself it was pipes, maybe the house settling in. But even as I forced myself to lie back down, I knew what I heard was real.
The second night, it happened again. But this time I was wide awake finishing a report on my laptop when the sound began. It wasn't random creaks anymore. It was deliberate, like someone shifting their weight just on the other side of that door, the faint scrape of fabric dragging across wood. I shut my screen and sat in the dark, holding my breath, ears straining. A thin shadow flickered under the doorframe, and my heart kicked hard, but I told myself it was probably headlights sweeping through the curtains. Still, my fingers shook as I texted the host. "Hey, just wanted to confirm nobody else is booked in this house, right?" It was 10:07 p.m., and to my surprise, the reply came almost instantly. "Nope. You're the only guest. All good? All good, right?" The way it repeated felt off. I finally forced myself into the hallway on the excuse of using the bathroom. Passing the storage door, I saw something I hadn't noticed before. 2 different sets of scuffs on the baseboard, one narrow, like sneakers, the other wide and heavy, like boots. In the bathroom, I stared at my own pale face in the mirror, every nerve awake, listening. That's when it came. A long inhale and exhale, muffled but unmistakably human, seeping right through the thin wall, followed by a low metallic tink, like a chain brushing wood. I didn't sleep much after that. On the third night, everything came to a head. I lay in bed with my phone face down, recording audio just to prove to myself later that I wasn't losing it. Around 2 a.m., the whole house went still in that heavy kind of silence that presses on your ears. Then it came. A soft click, the sound of a latch settling, followed by the slow roll of a doorknob turning. My chest tightened. I pulled the blanket to my chin and froze. From my doorway, a thin wash of light shifted in the hallway, and then, impossibly, someone stepped out of the storage room. He wasn't rushing or even trying to be quiet. He moved like someone half asleep. Slow, soft steps, shoulders loose. When he reached the middle of the hall, he stopped. The tiny nightlight by the bathroom cast just enough glow to outline him. A tall man, chin tucked down like he was listening, his head slowly turning toward my room. My heart hammered so loud I was sure he could hear it. I didn't breathe, didn't even blink. With my fingertips, I fumbled for my phone, trying to hit call without making a sound. After what felt like forever, he turned back down the hall. I heard the muted rub of a door dragging across carpet, the storage door easing shut, and then silence that felt colder than before. I didn't sleep another second. By dawn, I was packed and sitting in my car, hands shaking so badly I had to wait before I could even turn the key.
When I finally drove off, I called the host. His voice came groggy, annoyed, like I'd woken him up. I told him someone had come out of the locked storage room. He went silent for a long moment, then casually said, "Oh, that must have been the maintenance guy. He probably just stopped by late." My chest burned. I snapped back, telling him that was unacceptable, that I should have been told if anyone else had access. He grew defensive, mumbling about old locks and me overreacting.
I didn't bother arguing. I hung up and drove straight to a hotel, still trembling. Later, I called the non-emergency police line. They sent an officer to check. When he called me back, his words made my skin crawl. He said there was no forced entry, nothing obvious, but inside the storage room, they found a folded cot, a water bottle still sweating with condensation, and a cough drop wrapper in the trash. That's when I knew I hadn't imagined it. Someone had been living in that room. I filed a full complaint with Airbnb, sent screenshots of every message with the host, even attached the audio file where you can hear that faint cough at 12:43 a.m. They issued me a partial refund and promised to look into it, but that was the last I ever heard. 2 years later, I still can't book a rental without checking every door, closet, and crawl space. If there's no lock, I wedge a chair under the handle before I sleep. My friends laugh and call me paranoid, but I can't unsee that shape in my doorway, the way he stood there in the dark, listening. That moment changed me. And if you're ever alone in an Airbnb and something feels wrong, trust your gut. It might be the only thing keeping you safe. I book short-term rentals the way some people grab their morning coffee. Quick, routine, without overthinking. I'm an IT consultant, so all I really need is good Wi-Fi, a decent desk that isn't just a wobbly board, and enough quiet to get my work done. Hotels are fine for quick stops, but if I'm staying a week or longer, I always look for a place with a kitchen and laundry. That's why this condo in Miami felt perfect. A high-rise overlooking the bay, balcony view, secure building, even a 24-hour doorman. It was January 2021, and after 3 exhausting months with a fintech client, I wanted somewhere I could finally breathe and spend time with my girlfriend. I'd booked it for what was supposed to be our very first trip together. We'd been dating for a while, and this felt like a big step. I thought I had found the perfect place to start that chapter. Around 11, the lights flickered. Just a quick blackout. Nothing that would normally bother me. My eyes went to the router, but for some reason I glanced up at the smoke detector above the bed. Plain white plastic, standard issue. But even when the room went dark, the tiny red LEDs stayed lit. That didn't make sense. Battery detectors blink, they don't hold steady. The thought nagged at me. Later that night, I flipped the master breaker, cutting all power. The fridge stopped humming, the router went dark, yet the red glow stayed. My stomach tightened. I pulled a chair under it and snapped a few photos. The casing looked newer than the others in the unit, slightly off-center, like it had been removed and replaced. Peering through the vent slots, I spotted a tiny drilled pinhole, not factory-made. Even the screw was different, a torque head instead of a Phillips. My skin crawled. Without thinking, I ripped a strip of tape from my gear bag and slapped it over the hole. My phone buzzed with the host's quick reply. "Thanks for letting me know. I can send maintenance tonight." It was almost midnight. Who sends maintenance at midnight? I typed back, "No need, I'll check in the morning." But my gut wouldn't calm down. I scanned for Wi-Fi on my phone and dozens of names popped up. One froze me in place. Cam Bedroom Miami, open and unsecured. My heart raced. I dragged the chair back under the detector, climbed up, and twisted it off. It came away easily. What I held wasn't a smoke detector at all, but a small board with a micro SD slot, a Wi-Fi module, and a coin battery glued inside. A consumer spy cam hidden in plain sight. My stomach turned as the truth hit. This was our first trip together. We had used that room, lived in it like any couple would. The idea that someone had been watching wasn't just creepy, it felt like a violation, like something intimate had been stolen from both of us. I recorded everything, and a quick search confirmed the brand. It was from a company that made cheap spy cams. My hand shook as I pulled the SD card and sealed it in a bag. At 12:40 a.m., I called the non-emergency police line. 2 officers showed up, and I laid it all out for them. The device, the glowing LED, even after killing the breaker. The Wi-Fi network called Cam Bedroom Miami. One officer just shrugged, while the other scribbled a report number on a card. "This isn't uncommon," he said before leaving. That line made my skin crawl. We dragged our stuff to the sofa, balanced a glass against the door as a makeshift alarm, and left the TV on mute while we tried to rest. By dawn, I sat with bitter coffee, staring at that taped puck on the table. I filed a complaint with the platform, uploaded photos, video, even the police report. Minutes later, the host messaged again. "Please confirm you didn't remove anything from the unit." That phrase, "anything from the unit," burned into me. We checked out, dropped the keys, and escaped to a bland beige hotel.
Later, I slid the SD card into my laptop, and my stomach dropped. The folders were neatly dated, and inside were dozens of clips. Older files showed other guests. It had been recording for weeks. The platform refunded our unused nights, suspended the listing, and said it was under investigation. The host insisted it was a noise monitor. I sent proof, the MAC lookup, the photos of the drilled hole. After that, silence.
Since then, I've built a ritual. Flip breakers, watch for lights that shouldn't glow, scan Wi-Fi for strange names, check detectors, thermostats, outlets, travel with an RF scanner and keep tape ready. I don't know if it was the host or a guest who planted it, and honestly, it doesn't matter. Access is access. Months later, in another city, I caught myself staring at a yellow detector on a hotel ceiling waiting for it to blink. It didn't. Still, I taped it the first night. People laugh when I tell them this, and sometimes I laugh too. But the truth is, I haven't slept the same since Miami. Not when every little red light might be an eye. The only good thing was deleting every file off that SD card so no one else could see it. But that didn't erase the fact that someone already had. I'm lucky I'm a tech guy who knew what to look for. What keeps me up now is wondering how many others don't, and how many are being watched without ever realizing it. That's what scares me the most.
I booked that little bungalow in Asheville because the photos look straight out of a fall postcard. A porch swing under a big maple, string lights draped across the eaves, even a chalkboard by the door with tiny leaves sketched in chalk. My husband Mark and I are both teachers, me in 5th grade, him in high school history, and October has always felt like our month. We packed light, one nice outfit each, rain jackets, and a promise to spend most of the weekend outside. The house sat on a quiet slope above the street, and the porch smelled like wet wood and cinnamon, with cider packets waiting beside a handwritten welcome sign at the key box. Inside was cozy. Small living room, 2 quilted bedrooms, a galley kitchen with open shelves, and a binder thick with rules. Like always, I flipped straight to the emergency page and then checked the locks. Mark laughed at me for that. At 7:18 p.m., the host texted, "I stop by evenings to make sure everything's fine. Just 5 minutes." Mark and I looked at each other. I replied, "We're good, thanks. Turning in early tomorrow." No response came. We ate our takeout, half-watched a show, and I quietly mapped the exits, shoes by the door, light switches within reach. At 9, while brushing our teeth, came a knock. 3 sharp taps. I opened the chain latch door to a man in a puffer vest holding a clipboard. "Hey there, Luke, your host. Just making sure everything's fine." Before I could answer, he stepped inside. He chatted about the rug, pointed to the thermostat, then let his eyes linger a moment too long down the hallway to the bedrooms. 5 minutes, maybe a little more, and he finally left. We double-locked the door, laughed it off, but something in his pause stayed with me. At 12:43 a.m., I woke to a sound that didn't fit. A slow, aching creak of the front door hinge. Mark stirred beside me, but never fully woke. I stayed frozen, listening. A minute later, the hallway floor whispered under pressure, like someone testing their weight just beyond our room. My pulse hammered as I sat up and saw it. A thin strip of light spilling under the bedroom door. The kitchen light was on. We hadn't left it that way. I couldn't bring myself to open the door. After a few seconds, the light clicked back off,
leaving us in heavy silence. By morning, I forced logic into it. Maybe power flicker, maybe the fridge. Coffee, a hike, a bookstore stop smoothed the edges of my fear. But that night, I texted Luke, "We're good here. No need to stop by." His reply came fast. "No worries. Enjoy your stay."
Here's the part that still makes my skin crawl. At 2:08 a.m., I got up to use the bathroom. The hallway light flickered once, then steadied. By 3:11, another sound yanked me awake, the rattle of the front door handle, like someone testing it from outside. A pause, then the faint scrape of keys, metal slipping against the lock. The kitchen light snapped on, footsteps crossed the floor. I eased the bedroom door open just a crack and froze. Luke stood at the sink, keys tossed on the counter. "Hey," he said casually. "Light was flickering. Didn't want it to bug you." My chest tightened. "It's not okay to come in at 3 in the morning," I said, trying to keep my voice firm. He shrugged. "Routine maintenance. Owner discretion. It's in the binder." Mark stepped beside me, his voice sharp. "You need to leave, now." I dialed the rental platform and put the agent on speaker. "Host entered unannounced," she confirmed. "That's a violation." Luke stiffened, muttered something about safety, and walked out. We locked every bolt and sat in silence until dawn, too wired to even breathe normally. In daylight, we packed without a word and called the police. 2 officers came, took photos of the binder clause, owner access at discretion, and said all they could do was file a report. Luke hovered on the porch, shifting like he couldn't decide whether to defend himself or stay quiet. "Helping guests," he muttered, though no one asked. The platform moved us across town and refunded the stay. The new host sent a code by text, apologized for not meeting us in person. I wanted to thank him for staying away. Back home, I told the story to my colleagues, half hoping someone would tell me I was overreacting. Instead, almost everyone had their own version. Landlords with keys they never gave up, maintenance walking in without notice, hosts who blurred the line between helping and intruding. Sharing it didn't make me feel safer. If anything, it proved how common it really was. And that's the part that still keeps me on edge. People like to picture the digital nomad life as sunsets, beaches, and endless freedom. But in reality, it's mostly emails, deadlines, and hoping your Airbnb has decent Wi-Fi. By July 2021, I'd stayed in so many rentals that I had a routine burned into muscle memory. Check the locks, walk the perimeter, note the exits. Little rituals to make a place that wasn't mine feel safer. That month, I booked a basement studio in Seattle, described as minimalist and perfect for solo travelers. The photos looked harmless, clean, simple. But the moment I walked in, one detail snagged my attention. A painted door no higher than my thigh, tucked behind the couch against the far wall. The host hadn't mentioned it. At first I thought it was decorative, maybe an old storage hatch or some odd leftover from the house's past. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling it didn't belong. The slats looked newer, repainted more recently than the rest of the trim. I brushed it off, set my bags down, checked the lock twice, and even tested the egress window. Old habits die hard. That night, I unpacked, made tea, and sat on the couch with my laptop glowing in front of me. Just behind my shoulder was that crawlspace door, out of sight unless I turned. The first night slipped by quietly, only the hum of the AC and the dull thud of neighbors moving above. The next evening, something small caught my attention. When I first arrived, the crawlspace door had sat perfectly flush with the wall. But that night, coming back from dinner, it was open just a finger's width. I crouched, pushed it shut, and felt the latch click. Maybe the cleaning crew left it loose. Maybe air pressure shifted it. Still, the image of it ajar lingered in my head. At exactly 3:14 a.m., I woke to a sound I couldn't place. It wasn't loud, more like wood dragging against concrete. I held my breath and listened. The AC clicked off, and silence filled the room. Then came the scrape again. My eyes shifted toward the couch. That crawlspace door was tucked directly behind it. I told myself houses settle, ducts expand, things creak. But this sound wasn't random. It was deliberate, steady, like something moving just out of sight.
Morning made it worse. Dirt tracked out from the crawlspace door across the rug, not clumps like from shoes, but fine grit, the kind you'd see from socks sliding on dust. My stomach dropped. I checked the entry mat, clean, checked the egress window, locked from the inside. Every muscle in me went tight. I messaged the host, "Hey, notice the crawlspace door doesn't stay shut. Can you confirm it's sealed? Thanks." 2 hours later came the reply, "Crawlspace is sealed. Don't worry, old houses breathe sometimes." That smiley face burned into me. Houses don't breathe footprints onto rugs. By the third night, I could barely sleep. I stacked my luggage tight against the crawlspace door, more to settle my nerves than anything. Then I wedged my tripod between the handle and the couch leg, balancing a glass bottle on top like a trap. At 2:51 a.m., the faintest clink jolted me awake. Not shattered glass, just the sound of it being nudged. Heart racing, I grabbed my phone and hit record. The tripod leaned slightly, and the handle had turned maybe 10 degrees before easing back. I replayed the video frame by frame. No slam, no draft, no vent. It was deliberate. Something had tried the door.
That was enough. Before dawn, I packed, left the basement behind, and checked into a hotel downtown. I told the host I had a family emergency. He offered a refund if I came back. I never replied. Later that day, a text arrived from an unknown number. "Maintenance here. We'll reseal crawlspace." My stomach dropped. I had only given my number to the host. He'd passed it on. I never went back for the charger I left by the couch. Some things aren't worth stepping into twice.
Now, whenever I book a rental, I keep a checklist. I shove furniture against small doors, travel with a door stop alarm in my backpack, and never let myself forget what happened. Sometimes, when I nap in a basement unit, I dream I hear that scrape again, wood dragging softly across concrete. I jolt awake, heart pounding, convinced a handle somewhere has just turned. Even as time dulls the edges, I can still see it clearly. The faint dirt traced across the rug, not clumps from shoes, but the quiet, careful steps of someone moving while I slept.